What's up, guys? Today I'm interviewing Charles Floate, an award-winning SEO blogger and black hat marketing specialist. And today we'll be talking about how to scale link building, outreach optimizations, the best ways to build an SEO team, and how he grew his SEO agency to $250,000 in revenue per month in just 2 years. So let's get straight into the interview. How's it going, Charles?
It's going very well, thank you. And thank you for having me as well.
No worries. So, I mean, you had your own link building agency previously, right?
Yeah, I've actually had two agencies now. So I had an SEO agency, which I started in 2011, I think, 2010. And then I sold that in 2016. And then I started a link building agency in 2017, which I sold in 2019. So my link building agency originally was called DFY Links. It's now Get Me Links. I sold it to Gary, who he's now sold it as well, because Gary's actually exited the SEO scene, which is crazy. But yeah, I've had a couple of agencies going now, but I don't have any left, thank God. I don't deal with clients anymore.
You had enough for client work.
For a lifetime, trust me.
It is difficult, yeah, especially as you're scaling. I mean, like if you were selling like more lower ticket as well, right? So you would sell like a link here, a link there, which meant that the number of customers you had was way higher, right? Is that correct?
Well, so most of the new customers would be coming on board, and we'd get probably $40,000 to $50,000 a month of new customers, and they'd be buying individual links or smaller numbers of links. Generally link packages as well were a big hit. In general, probably only a few percent of the orders per month were one link, because generally people they're only doing it to test the service, and then they'll buy more, they commit to more, that kind of thing. Or they're just like local agencies that literally just need one link.
Just one.
And things like
we
that.
just need one
Like,
link.
yeah.
It's a missing link.
The one link, the competitors have got 4 referring domains, so we might actually only need one link here. So yeah, so we have dealt with that, but generally, I tried to onboard bigger affiliate clients, and a lot of agencies would just buy with us in general, but I didn't really try and onboard as many agencies specifically, because they needed more help than the affiliate guys who already had like all their systems and everything planned out and stuff, and were just ready to kind of print, give you like a spreadsheet, and just you go and print their links for you basically. Whereas the agency guys would often want you to help them with the anchor text, help you with the all the placements, all this kind of extra stuff. Exactly. Whereas a lot of the affiliates had people in place for them to already do that. So that was more beneficial, whereas I saw it more beneficial to go after the really big affiliate guys. And a lot of the time with the high ticket affiliate sites, they're happy to spend $500, $1,000, $2,000 per link. Like, it's actually really crazy, because the ROI on some of the commissions and some of that kind of stuff is absolutely insane. You're talking $5,000 plus on some of the commissions for the high ticket affiliate these days.
So it's a no-brainer. If they spend money on links, they get more traffic, they make more commissions.
Exactly.
The budget is there. Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, so you've already sold 2 agencies so far. How did you get into SEO originally?
Yeah, so I got into SEO originally because I was just on the computer anyway. So I used to, when I was a kid, so I'm talking like when I was like 10 or 11, I used to do national.
The world's youngest SEO.
Yeah, literally. But like I was competing at the national level for sprinting in the UK, and I used to be really, really fast. I was like 11. I could run 100 meters in under 12 seconds when I was 11, which is really fucking fast.
Yeah.
And I then ended up ripping my tendon and my ligament in my leg when I really badly twisted my ankle, my leg on an injury once. And I was in the hospital for like 6 months. Well, I wasn't in the hospital for 6 months. I was in the hospital for like a week. And then I was in and out of hospital doing like physio and stuff for like 6 months. And I didn't actually go to school really. I kind of just blagged it off and just didn't really go to school, because I didn't really like school anyway. And so I just sat at home on my computer for 6 months basically, like, and in the hospital, so like on hospital visits and stuff on my laptop and things for ages. So I got into like video games, computing, and eventually got into like hacking and stuff and like other things. And then my mom just saw that I was really good with computers, and that I was really good with technology and stuff. So then she had just built a new website for her business, and the web design agency that she was using were trying to rip her off, and they were trying to basically charge her like £6,000 or £8,000 a month for SEO. And this, you know, you're talking about 2004 or 2005.
Yeah.
Like this, that's insane money from back in those days when it used to literally be like the X-Rema days of like you spam some Russian link software and you'd be number one. It's mental. So yeah, when she said, look, I can't afford that, that's like the wages for 3 employees full-time for my business, and we don't have 3 employees yet. Can you take a look at it? You know, here's 500 quid kind of thing.
A bit of pocket money. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was like, wow, £500? Like, holy, I've been trusted with that much. Damn. Okay.
For the record,
so I really, yeah.
I used to get £1 a week pocket money. So that's big. You're talking big numbers
exactly.
then. Yeah.
Exactly. You are talking baby money, especially when I was 12. I was like, I've never seen that kind of money before. You know? So I was like, damn. So I was really frugal with the spending of it. So I didn't really spend much of it the first month. I was just researching and kind of like figuring out what I was doing. And a lot of people online said, you know, you can really mess things up if you do this and you can do this. And there's a lot of conflicting opinions. So I was really confused on what to do. So I luckily randomly stumbled across this thread in a gaming forum that I was on. And it was actually like a gaming hacking forum, like for like cheat codes, and it was back in the days like Nintendo DS cheat codes and stupid stuff. And I was on that. There was a marketplace, and they were selling backlinks on this marketplace. So I thought, okay, let's buy their biggest package, and the biggest package was like $75 something, you know, on this site. And so I bought this package, and the guy DM'd me on Skype because I put my Skype username in the form. And he said, dude, like, you're the first person that's ever just straight away bought that biggest package, you know, like, who are you, Mr. Like, yeah, Mr. Big Spender over here, or this kind of thing. And it turned out that the guy behind the screen was like this 15-year-old kid called Todd Foster, who is now, he now runs Casio and Merge Media, which is like Canada's second biggest digital marketing agency or something. So I was really lucky in the fact that I managed to meet this guy kind of before he'd be blown up to this level, but he'd already kind of learned a lot of things. So he became my mentor, and I owe a lot of my knowledge and stuff to Todd, and all of my own data to Todd. And he gave me a lot of information, gave me access to software, tools, all of this stuff. And we started building niche AdSense sites. Whilst I was also working on my mom's website. And over the course of kind of a year, I managed to get my mom, and you'll probably know them, I outranked DFS in the UK on my mom's website. Wow. Yeah, so I outranked them for like some big keywords when I was 12 with like £500, right? So my mom was super happy. Her business was growing, like the website was smashing it. You know, she was previously selling the most on eBay, and then the website just like 10x eBay off the roof kind of thing.
These are like companies with insane budgets as well, right? That you're competing with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, massive budgets. But obviously, I still didn't really know what I was doing. So eventually, that domain got burned. Like my mom's domain got burned. So we had to. But at that point, we'd kind of built the business up to the point where the website was one of the least channels anyway, and we'd started transitioning more to other revenues, Amazon, and all that kind of stuff as well. And because they started just growing up and blowing up and things and scale. So I started transitioning more away from working with the family business and more towards working with like my own agencies and my own affiliate sites and that kind of stuff. I dropped out of high school at 15 to go and work on my own kind of stuff. I say dropped out, I got kicked out. But it was a mixture of like hardly any attendance basically. I had a 17% attendance record at school, which was not the best. Yeah. Because I just want to sit, because like literally I'd be going into school and like I'd have just made like I just did a deal for a new site, or I'd sold an AdSense site with Todd, or I'd done something like that for like 10 grand or 15 grand or something like that, and I'd just be able to buy a brand new gaming laptop, like, you know, the monitor, the whole lot. And my teachers were like, you know, how are you making this money?
So you're making more money than your teachers at that age.
Exactly. So I was like, this is pointless. You know? And I was doing business studies in high school, you know, like what's it called? GCSE business studies, whatever it is. And
which is not the most practical thing in the world, right? Like,
no, and like the teachers were fair enough, they were little old lovely ladies, so I never gave them any hacks or anything. But they never ran a business. They had absolutely no clue on entrepreneurship or business management or anything. And they were, the first task that I signed up to, or like the first task we were made to do was make a website. And like, I was like, oh, do we get to make a website of our choosing? And they're like, no, you have to make a website in PowerPoint. And I'm like, what? I'm like, but you can't. Wait,
it's not possible.
I was like, yeah.
I'm like, out. Look, yeah, I'm out now.
I'm like, yeah, this is done. Like, I'm not doing this anymore, you know. So I went home and actually made my own website, like in like WordPress or something, and then went back the next day to school and showed them, and they were like, well, you're still failing, but whatever.
It's mental.
They're pretty impressed by the website, though. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I just left school and kind of went into stuff. I got a job at 16 at an agency in Birmingham, where I'm from, as like a junior SEO. But then I quickly became like the only SEO in the agency, and because it was a web design agency. And there was previously another guy, but he became like the social media manager. And I was then full-time basically running all of these SEO campaigns at 16 and like having to go into client meetings at like Jaguar Land Rover and things like, you know what I mean? Which is just mental when I was 16 years old, you know what I mean? So I was just, it was crazy, but it was a massive learning curve. And because of all that pressure, I was speaking, and also because I was kind of making a name for myself and I was going to like business meetings with the owner of the agency and I was going to all this kind of stuff. I went to a meeting, with Matthew Barbie, who is now the head of growth for HubSpot or something. And because we just wanted to meet up because I'd seen his like Moz blog or something, he'd seen me blogging somewhere else. And because we're in the same city, we thought we'd go to lunch. His boss then ended up offering me a job, who was like competitors to my agency at the time. And I went back to my agency and was like, look, I'm going to leave to this place. Can I have my 2 weeks notice? And they were really angry that I'd kind of gone to a meeting. They'd just taken another job. So they were like, look, you can just leave basically. And I think that was a bad decision on their half because they allowed me to leave, but like I didn't tell them anything about all the SEO campaigns that I was doing. So they just had to pick up with no experience and no left off or anything. But then
so there was no like no offboarding, just, you know, see you later.
Like just see you later. Like you're crazy. I walked into the office, I told them like what's happening, and it was like 5 p.m. already. So I could see they were a bit angry, and so I went home. And then I came back the next day and I tried to log on my computer and the password was changed on the computer, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is how it's going to be.
It's one of those.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, this is what's happening. But then I went to this other agency, worked with Matthew for a while, and then I was like, this isn't really working out. I can earn way more money on my own. And I don't really like, I have an authority complex. I definitely don't like working underneath somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like I like working with people. I just don't like having somebody above me telling me what to do and things. So I just really didn't like that. Yeah. That's it. I left and built my own business at 17, basically. Yeah.
It's so young to start a business. It's pretty good though. I mean, great experience. Like, it does make me wonder. Like, I think whenever you start the business, like for me, I started when I was like 26, 25, 26, something like that. And you always makes you wonder, like, okay, what would have happened if I started like 5 years earlier or 10 years earlier? You know, where would I be at this point in time? So, but you literally, there was no messing around.
Well, 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's cool. And then, like, I mean, so when you were building backlinks at the agency you sold, you were building a pretty serious scale. If you're selling like, you know, 40, 50K a month of new customers every month. How did you design a system that supports that? Because fulfilling the order at the quality a client likes and is happy with, and managing all the moving parts of an agency, the team, the processes, the systems, everything that's going on, putting out the fires all day. How did you design a system to build links at scale?
Yeah, so I already knew that we had the outreach systems in place and we had the database, etc., in place for the contextual side of link building, right? So we can handle the guest posts, we can handle the link insertions, we can handle all of that stuff. Yeah. Even if we have to scale, all we have to do is add in new BAs, train them up over the 3 to 6 week kind of onboarding process, and then they'll be ready to go and they can handle, you know, 10K, 20K worth of work per one BA. So it was pretty easy to just do that side of things. But I knew what was going to be really, really game changing is if we can supply the whole link package. So it's not just the contextual links, but it's building the citations for the local websites. It's doing press releases. It's doing social profiles, and any kind of pillow link on top of it, PBN links, anything you can imagine that a client might want, and then they can basically only come to you because they can get everything from you. But I knew that I, number one, didn't want to have to open all these services individually because it's going to dilute the service's quality. Because as soon as you open a brand new service without it being tested on that kind of a scale, the quality just goes to shit straight away. Like,
I mean, it's really,
yeah.
I'll be 100% honest. Like when we launched the Harrow link building service earlier last year, and there was a lot of tweaking and testing involved. It's just like every single week you have to make new improvements, improve the system. You get some feedback, you put that into place, and it's not like you just launch a service and then it's ready to go, right?
Not at all.
So many moving
you've also
parts.
the churn of employees and stuff that have all the stuff in their heads. So you got to get new people in and then train them up, and there's all this time in between and stuff. So it is a bit of a hassle, to be honest. But I knew that I couldn't create all of these new systems for the individual link types that I needed to do. So but I also knew that I'm friends with basically everybody else in link building. So I know everyone else in link building, and everybody else in link building knows me. And I probably ordered what I need off of the best vendor already. So if I already knew the best vendor for citations, I already knew it, right? I already knew the best vendor for this, I already knew the best vendor for that. So I just went to them and was like, hey, can I be a reseller for you? But I want exclusivity as a reseller, right? So nobody else can resell your links, only me and yourself. Obviously, you can run your own business, but I get to be the exclusive one as well. So that number two, nobody can then copy what I was doing, right? So I had all these agreements in place, and it started to work. And it scaled like hell. I think the first month we launched, we did $110,000 in sales. And then
that's not normal for a new business to launch in the first month. 110K. I mean, that usually takes most agency owners, I know, particularly in SEO, that takes them 2-3 years sometimes to get to that level, if they ever do. Sometimes.
I'm not going to say that I didn't have stuff already in play before, because I was already a fairly big name. I'm not going to say that because I'm not really a big name. If you look at people like Brian Dean and Rand Fishman and stuff, those guys are like hundreds of thousands of subscribers and followers and things.
Massive audience.
And exactly, they're genuine influencers, right? They're doing that more from that side. I was just like fucking annoying people in the SEO community on forums and like blogging about black hat crap that I found, and do you know what I mean? Just unloading whatever I found at the time, and every new tactic I learned, I'd just share case studies and stuff, and so I built this audience from the ground up from that. So I already had an email list at the time when I launched it of like 10,000 or 15,000 or something. My YouTube had a few thousand subscribers, Twitter had a few thousand. And the main thing was I had a Facebook group that I'd launched called the Proper SEO Group, which had at the time it had like 15 or 18,000 members. I think now it has like 40,000 or 45,000 or something. So I was using those platforms mainly as the way to gain attention, because I didn't even use ads, right? We were just selling so much because there was no real competition that could provide, at the time anyway, that could provide the whole package, right? Like I said, that could provide all the links. I had built this kind of trust with my audience of, you can trust me because I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I have certain systems, and then made sure that if we're not supplying the link, that it's going to be the best quality anyway, because it's from the best quality vendor. So that's what I've always tried to strive towards, and that's why I think it succeeded so well. And I think towards the end, we were averaging like 200K, 250K a month every month. So that's
awesome.
It was doing really, really well.
Yeah, that's so good. Like, I mean, what was the biggest struggle when you were running your agency? What was the biggest challenges you were facing?
To be fair, it was personal, right? Because I had health problems. So that was the number one thing, right? So like I had, I ran the link agency for like a year and a half. And on going into the second year, I started to have really bad like health problems, and ended up having to have 5 surgeries, 3 in Thailand, 2 in the UK. I was like flying back and forth. I was like on morphine as well, which just boggles your mind, and you don't really have memory retention and stuff properly. So I just kind of had these 2 months of being in like pain in hospitals and surgeries and stuff where I couldn't really focus on the business and stuff. So that was probably then that was definitely the number one struggle personally, right? But in terms of the business, that would be more relevant to everybody else in general. The number one struggle was probably, for us anyway, it was just order management. It was because we were providing all of these links, and because we had different vendors and different suppliers, and we had different people coming back and forth, some vendors would have the links ready 3 days later, Some vendors would have links ready 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, but the guys put the same order there. And do you send the report one by one, or do you send it all together, which is probably what they want most of the time? They don't want to be getting multiple emails with different spreadsheets and stuff, right? They just want one big thing where they can easily
save them time, make it easy.
Exactly. So it was, but also at the same time, people getting frustrated that they were having to wait 3 weeks for all of the links to come and show. So it was getting to a bit of an issue where also some orders did get mismanaged, because it's just human error that some orders are going to be marked, oh yeah, the whole thing's been done, when actually only these suppliers have fulfilled it, right? So things like that would happen as well. So it's very hard when you're dealing with so many moving pieces to keep track of everything properly, and you almost need like an automated system. And that was what I was working towards. I had like an in-house dev that was building an automated order management system, but it was like the amount of time and money I realized how much it was going to cost to build all of this with all the moving pieces and fitting in all the vendors and all the everything. It was probably going to be like a £200,000, £250,000 project, and like a year and a half of a full dev's time. So it was, and that's an in-house in the UK dev. You're talking like £90,000 a year to have something like that proper. So it's not the easiest of things to have, but I think what I learned in the grand scheme of things is that you have to either just hyper focus on the individual link and be the best provider of that link type in the world, or you have to be like a general agency and you have to have divisions to manage the individual link types, and they're all responsible for achieving that individual link type so that everything's coming on time and it flows together. And you have to have that one big dashboard where they can all see it and stuff, because otherwise it just gets mismanaged and people get angry, and then it gets, it's just shit stuff. So, and one bad customer will go after you a lot harder than 10 good customers will ever give you feedback for, right? So it's a lot easier to handle.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I mean, to look at it from both angles, like when you're running a link building business, you really have to be totally focused on fulfilling what the client needs and wants, and making sure they're happy at the end of the day. Because like you say, if they're unhappy, they're going to tell 10, 20, 100 people about it at least. And that's why we brought things into place like account managers, weekly masterminds, and just we even have, for link building, we have like 3 layers of approval now, just to make sure the quality is as high as possible. But it's a tough job. Did you, I mean, like when you were building links, were you building like for us, we still get a lot of free links from doing outreach, particularly with websites we have relationships with as well, because we've been doing it for so long. Was it purely like paid links that you were doing, or was it free links as well?
Because of the scale, you just have to pay, right? Because if you're getting a free link, it's going to take 10x the amount of email.
There's going to be a lot of back and forth. Yeah,
exactly. So versus with a paid link, you can have it done and placed within 3 emails, so it makes the VA's time a lot more efficient, and it's a lot harder to get a really, really good trained VA, and that always places consistently good links, that's always niche relevant, that are always going to be really strong and powerful, than it is to just try and get all these people trying to get free links all the time and stuff. So I was just like, look, we've got to scale, let's just pay for it. And also it allowed us to build a database. So then if we know that, look, this site is $40, this site is $20, this site is $100, then we can easily go and place the links. And then obviously that allows us to then very easily track the profit of each link as well. So we can always see how much we're going to make from the links on top of it.
And as you were building that database up, you must have been sending like hundreds, if not thousands, of emails to different websites to sort of contact them, find out how much links are going for, whether they actually place them, what the niche is like, that sort of thing, betting them.
Yeah, I think we were sending at a peak 30,000 a day, 30,000 emails per day. Yeah,
that's insane. I feel good about how many we send now then. That's we're not that bad. Were you using like SendGrid and that sort of thing to send it using your own SMTP?
Yeah, so we had to use multiple systems and stuff and use different things. And then eventually, well, we came up with loads of SOPs and systems to not get email accounts burned. And there's loads of ways you can try and get deliverability up and things like that. But that's like a whole podcast in itself.
Yeah, that's a whole different rabbit hole, isn't it?
Email deliverability is a massive pain in the ass as well when you have to deal with it, especially at big volumes as well. But yeah, we mainly found that it was all about how you worded emails, all about how you worded subject lines more than anything, just to get those open rates. Even at our peak, we were still hitting 60-70% open rates on our emails, because we were getting, over the course of 30 days or 31 days of sending them, because we were sending the subject lines with literally like, look, we'll pay you $50 every month and stuff like that. That was the subject line in big capital letters. And it was from like a professional media agency, because we'd make fake media websites and fake PR websites and stuff. So we never actually came across as we were buying SEO or buying links. We always came across as we were buying a feature or an editorial or something like that. So it never came across as an SEO value. And we never really taught the websites that we were buying links from about link buying and about SEO and stuff like that, because that's when they actually understand the value, and that's when the price starts to increase.
Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, once they start looking into it. That's the thing, because some websites, we've seen it for years, even today, like you'll send an email asking for a backlink or something, and they turn around and they're like, what is a link? What is a backlink? Is it something to do with hyperlinks? Like they don't know.
It's also gotten to a point now where I think we've also, from the replies that we've gotten, if we do send an email that doesn't ask them for money, over 70% now ask us for money. Like, it's now got into that situation, I think, where SEOs have actually done that much outreach that everybody, or not everybody, but most people now know that they can sell something on their website. And it doesn't matter if a lot of them think that it might be an ad, a link might be an ad, or like putting a hyperlink, that's an ad or something like that. That's their mentality a lot of the time. But it still it still works, and it still ends the system. But we've seen the gradual progression of, like you said, is it still mostly paid for links? Since then, when I was running GFY about 4 or 5 years ago now, I'd say 30 to 40% of site owners would reply and ask for money. I'd say now it's way over 70%. Literally, it's way over 70% from what we've done. Definitely. It's crazy. Like most websites now are asking for money to get a link. Like, it's even gone to the point now where like the authority hacker guys who are like, we're never paying for links. They said that for literally 10 years, I think. Like, we're never paying for links. You shouldn't pay for links for that. And they suddenly changed their tune at the end of last year, because they're like, look, it's getting to the point now where like we can't do outreach, and like it's just wasting emails and time because everybody wants us to pay them. So they gave in, and they're now Black Hat. So
now Black Hat. Yeah, no, I actually listen. I remember seeing that podcast. I know they were hinting at it for months, and then just one day they bit the bullet and they were like, right, we're going to start paying for links now. I don't understand it. Surprisingly, we do still manage to get a lot of free links. But it's not easy.
And if you relationships and things, it makes it a lot easier. But it's just getting to the point when, and I found especially from the pandemic, right, a lot of people were in kind of need of money. So the last 2 years, it was a lot of people were reaching out. So I even had like people we'd bought links off. They'd be emailing me back like, hey, do you need any more? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I need some money. Like,
you want to buy some more?
Yeah, exactly. So it was the last 2 years, especially, I saw a big rise in people either just discounting the rates of links or just trying to get more link sales, or people actively selling links more. So I think the pandemic helped it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it probably made link building a bit more commercial. And then I think in other ways too, like for example, if you're hiring a team for link building, all of a sudden there's an influx of people online working remotely. But at the same time, because there's so many of them, it's hard to filter through which ones have experience or which ones are talented versus before. It's even more like the 1%.
I also saw it from the other side as well, where a lot of niches that were really affected by the pandemic as well were just like suddenly like going from $200 links to $10 links and things and stuff. So like travel blogs that were like, DA or DR60 were like, I'm never selling a link for below $200. Now they're like on Fiverr. Like, it's insane. Like,
That's very true, actually. That's a good point. Yeah. And you have that's your link building assistant behind you?
Oh yeah, I've got
tired from all the link building. I think I remember one thing you mentioned about as well was getting WordPress logins from websites as well for link building. Is that something that's easy to do? It's something we've not implemented our business, but like, asking webmasters, okay, listen, we're going to buy links from you every single month. Do you mind if we just get a WordPress login, make the changes ourselves and streamline the process, save you time too?
Yeah, so we just ended up doing plugins. We didn't end up doing logins or anything for people. So we just make it an anonymous plugin, which basically anonymous just means that like the URL string changes. There's no way to identify that the plugin is on the website, not without some serious brute forcing or something anyway. But yeah, so we just create a plugin which basically feed into our backend, and it would load every page, and then we could simply refresh every post and page on the site into Ahrefs or Majestic, so that we can see the trust flow, DR, DA, the whole lot, and then we can just really simply go through and search all the text via the plugin searcher to see if there's any relevant text to insert a link on the website. So that was what the kind of solution that I came up with was in the end was, because I didn't want to, a lot of people just weren't happy with giving you their login details, right, for a website.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be just like randomly inserting links and stuff and they don't know when they're going to get paid and stuff. So what it comes up with is they can, on their back end, when they see on their plugin dashboard, they get to see how many links you placed, where they are, what they are, and they can even approve or disapprove of them if they set that setting up. So if they want to, they can moderate their links that are going to be placed, so that they can agree to have the link placed or not, which is another nice setting. But that plugin basically doesn't get used much anymore because I sold the link agency and stuff. So I just use it to like place my own occasional links to my affiliate sites every couple of weeks and stuff, and that's about it. Like,
yeah. Right, it's a good idea though. I mean, like, how much? Yeah. When did you hired someone to develop that plugin for you, or?
So we had an in-house developer at DFY the entire time. So I had an office in the UK, and we had like 12 people in the office, like a full-time designer, manager, dev, like the guy that was in charge of the Harrow stuff. There's all sorts of different people, and there's a content guy. And they were just kind of responsible for their own departments or their own people underneath them and their own VAs and stuff like that. Or just they're responsible for speaking to their own vendors. But the in-house dev was the one that was working on all these projects. So I just always had these ideas for projects or improvements for features, or customers would give us ideas to improve certain aspects of things, or even clients that we were actually buying links on and things. They would give us improvement ideas, and we'd just be continually improving. But the problem was we didn't really have enough time or people. We should have had 2 or 3 devs, but they're so expensive to have in-house and stuff that it's just become kind of pointless. And I think that especially from the kind of time frame that we're doing it, even if we were hiring like outsourcing devs, so we were hiring somebody from India or from the Philippines or something like that, we would still need somebody that was a really high level, and those high level people are still asking for $2,500 a month, So, and you need 2 of those underneath the guy in the UK it ends up being a huge cost. You end up paying like $200,000, $300,000 a year for your development side. So it does add up very quickly. So yeah, I just had the one dev kind of focusing on all these individual projects, improvements that really allowed us to grow all together, whilst he was working on the main project of building the dashboard and things.
So like, it just makes me curious. How come you decided to have an office in the UK versus working remotely and building a remote team? Just imagining like all the wages, the extra overheads in England, like things would get expensive really quickly, right?
Yeah. So the first reason was that I already had one. So when I sold the old agency, none of the old employees of that agency went to the new company that I sold it to, just the clients did, right? There was only 3 employees that were in the UK for the agency, but I retained all of the employees underneath me, even though I didn't have a business for them to really go on. Like I had my affiliate sites they could work on stuff like that. But I then decided I'm going to have to do something with them, kind of thing. So I kind of seen the space for link building opening up and things. So I just thought, let's shift this office that was already productive, that already had all of this stuff and already had this unity and teamwork together and things, and just shift it straight to another business. And it also gives them a bit more morale. So essentially they've gone from having all of this work to do to nothing, to essentially having like a massive big new business and project that they can really dive into and get their teeth into and stuff. So I thought that would be a really good idea, and it wasn't that expensive anyway. And all the guys were contractors, so I didn't actually have any employees. They were all just contractors, so that I didn't have to pay, because don't get employees in the UK. That is the number one thing.
I mean, legally,
like
pain in the ass. You're stuck with them.
Your retirement fund, you're not allowed to be negative in any of your feedback or your reviews to them, and you're not allowed to be negative if you fire them to a new employee. So if they give you a reference and the new employer phones you, you cannot be negative on the phone to them, which is just it's just mind-boggling.
So a lot of people refuse to give reviews, don't they? Refuse to give references because of this.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane. And then you've also got the public liability insurance, your employee insurance, your health and safety bullshit. You have to do like fire drills and stuff like in school. It's mental. Like there's just
I totally forgot about that.
It was crazy. And like I was like 20, like 21, and like having to do all of this stuff just took me away from actually doing the business, and as well, I had the health stuff on top of it as well. Like it was such a nightmare that I really did want to get rid of I didn't try to let myself get overwhelmed, because I wanted to keep, cool head, cool minded, the whole thing. But internally, I'm like, I want to burn this place to the ground. It's just a massive pain in the ass to deal with. Like I give full credit to like people who are managers, because I cannot be a manager. Like I blow up at people. Like I just find it really difficult to handle managing and talking to people. And like, I don't know, the amount of times I've had to just cool myself down. It's way too much to deal with that stuff. So I prefer having a team that's a lot more, a lot smaller, a lot calmer, a lot easier to control. I know them on an individual basis rather than having, I think at the peak we had like 80 different people that I was having to speak to and manage and stuff. You know what I mean? Which is just a nightmare.
I mean, the way that we get around it is like, I have a layer of direct reports, and then they'll have a layer of direct reports, and it just sort of funnels down. So it's like, nobody really has an insane number of people to manage.
The main issue I ran into was that, if one of the managers would, so we had divisions and people managing the divisions, but then if one of the managers got sick, or he had to go to hospital or something like that, then I'd have to manage that division, So it became this kind of,
your head of link building for the day.
Exactly, but then some people would go out of work. They have to take 5 days off, 6 days off, and that takes a massive amount of time out of your day, and there's nobody else that can replace them, So it's like this, and so that's why I was trying to get team members that could be like assistant managers. But then it's really hard it's really hard to deal with people in the SEO space when you have a manager and then you have this person that's not quite a manager, and he's not really an employee, he's kind of in the middle, because they're always fighting for like the manager's job. So it was this chaotic game of just dealing with things. But it was honestly, it was just because it was too big. I think if like it was one of those things where you scale beyond your capabilities.
I was going to say,
right, where you need to scale it back.
And you move so quickly, didn't you? Like this, I mean, for us, for example, we've been doing it for 5 years, just step by step. We definitely weren't at 110K after the first month. Like it takes, I think that sort of thing, scaling people is one of the hardest bits.
Yeah. If I'd gone back and I limited the sales to a limit of number of these type of links per month, or just an overall 100K a month cap on all orders, right? Number one, it probably would have made the scarcity go like crazy, right? Everybody's like trying to get
waiting list of months.
Exactly, right? But also it would have just allowed it to be a lot more manageable, because like I said, the first month I was like, oh shit, like, we've got to deliver so many links right now. And I've got to create all of these new things. And I've probably got to hire new people to add on to this because we can't realistically manage. Because at the first month that we opened, we had 4 of us in the UK. And then maybe, I think it was two VAs or 3 VAs or something, right? And we've got to deliver $110,000 of links plus the next month's links that are already coming in, right? So like, it was just mental.
Never ending.
Like, we had to scale it. Exactly. So I honestly think going back, adding in that cap would have been beneficial from a marketing standpoint and from a scaling and capability standpoint.
Yeah, that's real scarcity. Like, not just the stuff you see where people are saying, "Oh, wait, we've got a waiting list," and then you jump straight on the next week. Like, yeah, exactly, that from a marketing perspective, that would probably work really well. Definitely, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm just conscious of your time. Like, what if people want to get in touch with you? How would they do so?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Charles_SEO. You can go on my Facebook page, facebook.com/TheCharlesFloate. And I also have SEO training and courses and consultancy at charlesfloate.gumroad.com. Yeah,
you have like a massive following on Gumroad, right? Especially for SEO.
Yeah, I think, I'm like the number 1 SEO guy on Gumroad by a margin as well. I think
it's pretty good going. Yeah, congrats. And as well, I know that we did the consulting session together as well. Is that something you still do for, because there's probably a lot of agencies that listen to this? Or
yeah. So I do a lot of agency consultancy, right? Because I've been there, done that now.
Yeah.
2 times over. And just because I've spoken and kind of been in-house with so many agencies before the pandemic, like pre-pandemic, which is a horrible term. I used to go to a lot of agencies, offices in the UK and in Canada. I went to quite a few as well. And I did in-person consultancy sessions. And this was in like 2014, 2015, 2016. And it gave me a massive insight because that was when a lot of these agencies were really taking off. So I was able to go in and improve a lot of the individual things and just tell them, here, you're going wrong here, you're going wrong here. So it's given me quite an ability to kind of instantly see what's wrong with an agency just by walking in the door kind of thing, So it's quite
yeah, it's good. It's good to learn different things as well, definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, well, thanks very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
Yep, no worries. Thank you for having me as well. And I appreciate you having me.
All right, cheers.